So why would you want to make a noise box? Well, I thought that I would like to get one of these things, so I start to have a little look online, Reverb and eBay, and I came across this one here called the Black Banshee Drone Ambient Experimental Noise Box. Now, aside from the fact it was actually made in Kazakhstan, which makes the postage rather expensive and probably get a load of import duties piled on top of it as well, looking at it, it looks like a fairly homemade kind of thing. It's got some springs, it's quite a crude box. There's not a lot to it really. However, £269 and 66 pence plus over £40 for delivery and any import duties. That's quite a lot of money for something that's you know, looks fairly kind of DIY really. And then I had a little wider look around at some of the other ones. So you've got like the gold noise box here, you know, great looking thing, £332 plus, so that's quite expensive. The wooden noise box, again, it's got a few springs, a bell, a few little bits and bobs on it. That's £140, that's a bit cheaper, but still quite a lot of money. And then we've got the Cinematic Horror Noise Generator drone box, which is a fantastic name and a great looking thing here. You know, it just looks, you know, really quite amazing, but it's £323. And then that got me thinking, well, you know, if we go back to the Black Banshee drone box, that looks like it's made in someone's garden shed. Couldn't I do that myself? I'm sure I could. So I thought, let's have a look and see how hard it is to make one of these things. And actually it turns out it's not that hard. So I invented my own name for it, the Lost in the Woods ambient kind of noise generator, and I just thought let's just, you know, go online, buy a few bits and bobs and have a crack at it, and here we go. So what do we need to build a noise box? Well, not surprisingly, we need a box. Any box will do. You can use a plastic box, you could use a metal one as well, that would probably sound quite good. It can be any size. It can be, this is a medium sized one, it could be a small size one. I decided to go for a wooden box because my noise box is going to be called Lost in the Woods, so I thought we'd go with that wood theme, and it gives a very nice feel to it as well. This particular box here, you can see what size it is. It's a good size. Got it off Amazon. It's an Indian kind of made wooden box, quite a nice hard wood, which I can attest to having had to cut a little bit out of it, which I'll explain in a minute. And also it had this nice kind of etched tree design in the front of it, which I thought, you know, would be quite good because you could scrape stuff across that and it would make a bit of a sound, and that would actually transmit quite well when we get the box. So you need the box itself. You also need not very much actually apart from that. So what have we got in here? The key things really, let's take all this stuff out for now and we'll go through it one by one. A lot of stuff that you can find around, particularly if you've doing bits and bobs of DIY over the years, you'll have come across all of this stuff before. But again, off Amazon or somewhere else online, this little kit here, which I'll open up. This is a contact mic, a piezo mic I think they're called. It's just a little disc basically that you stick onto something and it picks up the vibrations through it. This one here, they're called cigar box kits because people use them to make cigar box guitars with. It comes pre-wired, so you don't need to do any soldering or anything like that. You've got a little jack plug input there, and this one here is actually a little volume or sensitivity knob, and you get another little bag with it as well, which comes with some washers and a little knob that you can stick on top of there for your volume knob. This will actually stick on the inside. You can stick it just about anywhere, but I'm going to stick it right underneath this design here, partly because I won't be drilling holes into the design when I start to make it, so it'll be a safe place to put it. It comes with a little sticky pad already attached to it, but I'm going to glue it on, and you'll need a few tools to actually help you to do that. Let's go through those now. You'll need a glue gun. So this is a little craft glue gun. You can get different size ones. Heats these little glue sticks up, and then you kind of just splodge it around the outside and stick it on there, and it sticks on pretty firmly. So I'll take this little pad off because I want to get a good contact in there, and that should do well. And then you'll not want me beginning to drill holes, so I had to, this was a bit thick, this kind of edge here, because this is where I'm going to put the volume control and the output. So I had to chisel a bit out of it, which was hard work, I have to say, because it's very hard wood, but it's good because it means it's going to last. So you would drill holes to put these things through here. So you're going to need a drill and a little battery powered one like this would do, or you could use a mains powered one. If you haven't got one, keep an eye out for Amazon Black Friday deals, because they often come up and they're quite cheap. And obviously selection of different size drills, because you've got different holes in there, so you need to use those. But if you're used to drilling just a few little bits for the odd DIY job, it's not going to be a problem for you. So we've got these two things there to add on, which we'll do probably closer to the end, and then we need to decide what we're going to have on the outside. Now, because I'm going to be putting the output and the volume control knob on this side, so they'll poke through and then they'll mount on the surface, and we can use those on that side. I won't be mounting anything on that side. And also, because it's a hinged box, which is very handy for keeping spare bits and bobs in, to do with it if you want to, I thought that it would be better to fix everything onto the lid, so there isn't like a kind of a break in it which might affect the way it transmits the sound and the vibrations through. So what have we got here? Well, the great thing about noise boxes is use your imagination. You can add lots of stuff to them. Anything that you can think of, you can just add to it. But a couple of things that are actually quite useful to have are nuts and bolts like this, long ones, which you screw a hole through, and then you'll mount those. There's another one here somewhere, I'm sure. I did see one earlier. There it is. You need a couple of washers as well to go on either side. You can just mount them anywhere you like. You can mount them diagonally across. You could have more than two if you wanted to, but mount two of them like that, because you can then hang things off them, stretch things between them. It's really useful. So in this particular case, I'm going to mount those two on those corners there, and I'm going to use these springs, which you often find that they're used for like spring-loaded doors and other such things. So they come inside all sorts of domestic appliances and car bits and bobs and other things. So if you're chucking something away, then you can strip these things out of it, and you can stretch them in between those 2 points, or you could bend it over like that and fix it, maybe twist it, I don't know. You can get different length ones as well, different strength, and thinner and fatter ones. So yeah, but whatever you've got lying around. This one here, which is called it's like a thumb piano, you might have seen these things, called a kalimba. Again, quite cheap to get from someone like Etsy craft stores or eBay, Amazon. those kind of things. Don't need to be an expensive one, so just go for the cheapest. I went for this. Is about £3.50 for this because it was on an offer. So I got one of these ones. It's on this wooden block, but I'm going to take it off now and put it straight onto here. These are great. These are music box mechanisms, so they just hand wind. You can get ones that are clockwork as well, but the hand wind ones are best. This one plays Happy Birthday. I already had this, so I didn't have to buy it, but you can get them online again if you want to. And it's very quiet, but if you put it against a box, it sounds a lot louder. So that'll be good. You don't have to play the whole tune, you could just play 1 or 2 notes on it and then it will reverberate around. So that'll be good. So we'll probably fix that one on there and that one on there, and those 2 posts will go on there and there, and that'll be a good start. And then I did have to buy these things. So a lot of these things you might already have, but I did have to buy these things. These are called grounding blocks. They're for electrical wires to go in and terminate. You know, electricians use them, but you get different size ones. So these small ones have got about 7 different connectors on it. This one here I think it's got so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 10 on there. Slightly larger size ones. Great thing about these is you can fit them onto the edge, either that way or that way, and then you can stick anything in there that you want to attach. You can just unscrew it and it'll hold it in. So you could stick, you know, wires, piano wires, things like that. I've got these things here which I don't know how they'll sound, but you know, I can just stick 1 or even more of them in there and connect them up. You might decide you want to go for smaller size. I've got both sizes here. They're not very much to buy actually, surprisingly cheap, and they're brass, so they look nice as well. Other things, bits of chain. Any bit of chain will do. As you can see, it makes a nice sound against this here. Lots of bits of wire. What else? These things here are quite good. Clips of some description. These here are just like kind of bulldog clips, little mini bulldog clips, or these are little alligator clips that you use for clipping on, you know, like mini jump leads, electrical things. You might have some of these kicking around, but they've got little holes in them that you can use to screw them onto the side there, and if you screw a couple of them on, then you know you can use it to grip and hold something and it will transmit that noise. Or you could screw that on the bulldog clip and use the bulldog clip, which feels a bit harder to do, so I might probably use these ones here. And anything else basically. I've decided to go for being able to attach things to it randomly, so I can just swap it out. So this block here I think I'll attach there on that side. I will probably have these little clips here on this side. I might need a couple of washers to space them out because I don't want the screws to go too far through, and then I can attach other things to it. I'm not going to put anything too further down the back. The front there, where you've already got these things, and I might decide to stick one of these on the front so you can attach something to the front if you want to, but I can do that later. And basically that's about it. Here's some nails you can use. Old guitar strings, bass guitar strings are best because they're thicker. This is an old one. It's one of my basses. I don't know why I kept it actually, but I've still got it. I found it, so that'd be great. I can use that, and you can chop them up as well, make them shorter, or coil them round. So that'd be good. So I think basically what we need to do is we just need to get going. So I'll speed this up a little bit because it's going to take a little while to do, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, that's enough of that. I think you get the gist. Basically, you just drill holes, you screw things on. So if you're okay with drilling holes in things and you're a bit handy with a screwdriver, I don't think you're going to have any problem at all putting this together. Here it is, now all finished. I did exactly what we said we would do. So the little fun piano marimba, took it off the wooden block and put it straight onto the lid here. Had to move it once. I did originally have it up there, but it didn't really give us enough space, so I moved it forward. I have to say it was a bit more difficult than I thought, because these little bracing kind of rods here weren't actually fixed on, so it all kind of started to come apart a little bit, and I had to fiddle around gluing these down onto the lid here, and fiddling and spacing them and that, but it seems okay now. We also put on the music box here, the music box mechanism rather, here, which is great. That screws on, that sounds really good. We also put on, as you saw in the video, a couple of these bolts through the back of the lid, and we stretched across them a little spring here, okay, which we can do that, or just scrape along or twang it, so that'll be great. Elastic bands, they don't sound much here, but they actually sound a lot better, I think, when they're amplified. And this is a hairband, which is like a rubber band with a bit of cloth on it, which gives a slightly different tone. We've also got a bit of chain here, which I just anchored at this one end here, just using a little nut just to kind of screw down on top of it to hold it in place, but that can just be moved around as and when we need to. What I've also got is, remember I said about these grounding blocks, so I put a couple of things in there. Tuning fork at the end here, which is a little bit wobbly because it hasn't got, it's round, so rather than flat, but we'll see how that sounds. It's a bit, I'll give it a ping. This is on the bass guitar string, chopped off a little bit because it was long, so you can just move that up and down, scrape it with your finger, do that kind of thing with it. And this is another one of those springs, but not stretched, but just put in there, so it just kind of wobbles around and makes a wobbling sound. At the back, I decided to put another one of these grounding blocks in, so I changed my plan a little bit from what I was going to do earlier. Put a smaller one in, and those big metal rods that I had didn't really work. They were too thick, they didn't really vibrate enough. So I put these much thinner, longer ones in here, which are actually great. You can just sort of tingle around with them and they vibrate. And these are wooden dowling rods, very thin ones that you can just make a slightly different sound. These things here are pigeon spikes, those little plastic pigeon spikes that you put along the top of fences and things like that to keep the pigeons off. So I put those on there, and there's quite a lot of them. I had to just break some of them off, so there's less, but they make a pleasing kind of twanging noise. And then if you come around the other side here, you'll see this is all that rattling noise you may be able to hear inside. We'll explain that in a minute. So we've got the volume control, which is drilled through the case, and the output there. And I've labelled them up. You don't have to, but because it's probably pretty obvious what they are, but you can do. These are the alligator clips, so I've attached two of them there where I said I would, and I just clipped like a plastic comb, but you could use a wooden comb or a metal comb, or basically you can clip just about anything there. You could clip pieces of cardboard or any other objects that you want in there. It's quite handy having two of them because it holds it pretty steady. Then inside we've got this box, of course, so it's handy for storing stuff in. So this was rattling around inside it, but that's just a little mini screwdriver just for tightening all the bits up that you need to grip onto things. So that can just live in there. And then if I just hold it up like that, you can see that is the, I've got chain out of the way, that's the contact mic, the piezo microphone, just glued on there with a hot glue gun. But you could use double-sided tape, or it comes with in the kit with a little sticky pad, as I think I mentioned earlier. that you kind of peel off and stick on, and that would do it as well. So don't worry too much about hot glue gun. I just decided to use that myself, and then it just connects into these that drill in through the side, and connect that to chisel a bit out, as I said earlier, to make it thin enough to be able to get those through. But if you had a thinner box, it wouldn't be a problem. And you can use this to kind of keep lots of different bits, and so you can keep that in it. You could keep other things in it. You know, you've got another couple of little springs here, so you can put those in there. And yeah, you know, whatever you want really. And then I'll put a name on it as well. Lost in the Woods noise generator. Quite like that name. That is it. So I think, as I said, use it like a guitar. So you're plugging it in. It needs to be amplified, and it needs effects, particularly reverb effects. So let's just have a little look at some of those and what those might do. So let's have a very quick look at just a few effects pedals that you can use with this. As I said, treat it like a guitar. So guitar pedals are good. You could just, of course, feed the actual raw sounds in. You know, they're fairly quiet sounds. If you could feed those into your computer and DAW, and you can process them all in there. But it kind of defeats the purpose in having a physical object like this, because what you want to do is to get some sounds out of it more organically. And you can sample them, and that may be a way of doing it, just to sample a few sounds and then use those and build those up within your DAW. But you do need to use effects with this, because it doesn't sound like it's very quiet on its own, and it's very plain, but it's a good sound source. So basically, use your imagination. Like anything to do with this is about imagination. Use whatever you've got. See if you can get stuff cheap as well. So you need delay and reverb are the key things for this, particularly reverb, but reverb and delay combination is really good. You can use other things like flanges and distortions and things like that, and they will have an interesting effect, but you know, not as good as reverb. Definitely need that. So you could use something like this, which is just a little digital delay pedal, the little Boss ones. That will give you quite a few different delays on that, which will enable you to build up a bit of a pattern. Or you can use something like a tape delay if you've got one, or if not, you could use something like this, which is again, Dan Electro do quite good pedals, very robust things for live, but you can get them very cheap second hand. This one here, the Real Echo, is a simulation of a tape echo, so you can change all the different settings on it. So that's quite a good echo as well, and you'll probably have some, you know, just built into your other whatever you're recording on, or plugins for your DAW. On the reverb side, there's loads of different ones out there. Lots of different pedals. You can get them second hand. Again, don't buy new, always buy second hand. This one here is not a bad one. The Game Changer Audio Light pedal. This is a spring reverb, optical spring reverb. When it's plugged in, it lights up, and there's a little spring in the middle there you can see. But that gives some really good effects, because you can really overload it and do harmonics and stuff like that, and mix in the spring reverb and the optical reverb as well, and change tones and stuff. So yeah, so that's quite a good one if you can get one of those. Again, you want a combination of reverb and echo is good. So something like a Space Echo, if you've got an original Space Echo, they're very expensive now and big. You could use that, or you could use something like this, which is the Roland kind of emulation. They've done another slightly fancier version of this as well, and there's a software version as well. But this combines reverb, echo and reverb together in a kind of vintage sounding reverb. Or you can level up a little bit and have something like this. This is a very good one, made by Chinese firm Mua, who do quite a few pedals, large and small. And this is a good one, the Ocean Machine. This is a combination reverb and delay, 2 delays and a reverb, but it's also got a looper in it as well, which might be handy if you wanted to build up rhythms, and it's very hands-on. You've got lots of knobs, so you can kind of twiddle with it in real time, which is actually a lot more fiddlier to do if you're doing it on a laptop. If you're doing it all in software, you can do it afterwards, but doing it live at the time is more tricky. And this is fun as well. It's all about enjoying what you're doing here and having a bit of fun and being hands-on. So that's quite a good one. As I say, other makes are available, but the ones that we're going to use today are, or the one should I say, because I don't want to go too over the top on this, is, I'll just move that in here, is this one here called the detritus dual reverb by Source Audio. Very good quality reverb. Enables you to do a lot of things, too much really almost. You can program it like any different way. There's loads of different engines. You can control it from software and from a mobile app as well. It does everything really, more than I could possibly do here, but we'll just use it in a simple way here because it's a very good spacious reverb, and you can layer 2 at a time. One other effects unit which I think is absolutely really important for this is a pitch shifter. So this is just a little one, there's others available. Again by Mua, again because you can get them quite cheap, and it definitely does the job, because you'll want to be shifting these things up and down. You can do it while you're playing it. It has a really good effect. I'll show you on the demo, but it's, I'd say, definitely have a pitch shifter in the chain, so before it goes into the reverb. This is just a compressor or limiter because the volumes are a bit peaky, but it also has the effect of kind of boosting the volume a little bit as well. So I'll just put that in there. What you will find with adding effects in, particularly if you've got a few of them, is everything adds noise in, and of course noise is a sound as well, so the reverb will process that noise and reverb it, so it might not be so bad, and you've got to accept a little bit of noise with these type of instruments as well, because they come with their own noise, but you don't want it to be too much to get too annoying. I have to say, when I did plug this in to test it out before doing this, I did notice there was quite a loud earth hum on there, and that's because you know, the kind of hum you get when you plug a guitar cable into an amp and you haven't plugged it into the guitar yet. You get this kind of metallic humming sound, and then when you plug it into the guitar, it tends to go, because that creates a circuit which is it earths it basically through the guitar. This is the same here really, but the hum was still here when I plugged it in, and I didn't really know where that was coming from, but I found out it was actually coming from the volume knob here. So the easiest thing for me to do, I will show you, is to, let's have a look. It's this little brown cable here. It's just a bit of electrical cable. I just basically attached it underneath just by loosening this a little bit, and then winding that round the bare wire, and underneath where it was gripped by the little screw thread and the nut, and then tightening it back up again, and doing the same here, attaching it to one of these upright bolts to the bottom of the lat, again loosening it, and then wrapping it around, tightening it up again, and that got rid of pretty much all of it. Certainly took it down to a very low level, which really helped clean that up quite a lot. If you turn the volume down, I found that hum did come back, but actually it didn't sound too bad when you affected it. I'll show you a little bit of that at the end of the demo. So you can maybe even do something with that noise. You know, it's all sound is noise, isn't it really? So why not use it? So let's just plug this in and turn things on, and then we'll see how it sounds, which is the most important piece, of course. Right, let's just show you a little bit about how it sounds dry. This is without any effects on it at all. That doesn't sound too bad. Tuning fork. Okay, so not that impressive really, just on its own, but once you stick the compressor on and the pitch bend, it changes it a bit already, makes it louder, and then as soon as you hit the reverb you can hear that kind of just coming in on the tail of that. This is where you need to have a nice big reverb. That's without pitch shifting it. And then if we pitch shift it down, you can make the reverb. Or pitch it right up on the pitch shifter, gives it almost like an insect kind of quality, very metallic, it's like bells. And then if you've got a pitch shifter that does harmonics as well, I'll just step through some of the other reverb effects as well. Quite amazing really. I could just keep going forever really. You just get the effects. Look, there's so much you can do with this. And it depends on what you've got attached to it, of course. These picking spikes are quite good. These metal spikes are quite good. It's all quite good. Even the cone